I just finished AHSOKA, episode 1 and episode 2. Let's talk about it. This is a show I've been pretty hyped for. However, I would like to say this is a show that is very much about rebels. So if you haven't watched that, like me, then you might be a little bit like, I don't have all the information. But the one thing that I will say that I think this show does really well is I don't actually think you need all of the information. Some things that I would say I think you want to know before you jump in, though, which I did have a pretty decent understanding of, and I think if I didn't have this, I'd be pretty lost, is Thrawn. You want to know about Thrawn, so make sure you check up on that and what's going on with Thrawn and why he's awesome, and sort of what went on with him a little bit in Rebels, at least at the end, so you understand that he's like lost, because that's kind of the premise for this, is Ahsoka's looking for Thrawn. So are basically the old Empire, which I guess will become the First Order at some point. They are looking for Thrawn. Ahsoka also is looking for him. And also Ezra, who also went missing with Thrawn. They're both believed to basically be like lost, dead, that type of thing. And you also probably want to know about the main ladies in this show and kind of their relationships and connections to each other. So we've got Ahsoka, Ahsoka Tano, who's obviously the Padawan of Anakin. She's got a whole thing going on. You got Hera. Hera's from Rebels. She's a general now. And you've got Sabine Wren. And Sabine, basically, we find out in this, I don't think this was established anywhere else, but that Sabine used to be the Padawan of Ahsoka and now is basically just living on Lothal and is like a hero to them because she helped save that planet, which all happened in Rebels. That's the end of Rebels. So like I said, there's a lot of stuff that just goes back to Rebels, but you want a basic understanding of who those characters are. You want to know about Thrawn. I think other than that, you're probably pretty set. Some of the things that I really liked in these first couple episodes, I gotta say, I'm really enjoying the characterizations. I really love how this is a story about predominantly female characters. Like it's mostly a story about women doing stuff. But the cool thing is none of it's really like about the woman element. Like it doesn't feel like girl power or anything like that. It's just about characters and they just happen to be women. And those are my favorite kind of stories because it just makes me feel like, I don't know, seen as not just like a woman, but just as a person that does things and also happens to be a woman, you know what I mean? And a lot of these characters are really, I don't know, they're just really grounded, and I really like their relationships with each other. I think are really interesting, and I love the world building that we're getting in this. I liked this a lot in the last season of Mandalorian. We just kind of touched on it a bit, and there's been little bits of it, I feel like, throughout a lot of the shows. I definitely think in the show, in Andor, you also get elements of this, which is this idea of how complicated it can be for the entire galaxy to transition from different powers. And when you think about it, like, not a lot of time has passed with them kind of doing this flip-flop thing that they've been forced to do. And like, what are the effects of that on the people? And just exploring this idea of maybe it's not really like evil good, it's just like who's in charge. And I think these two episodes, especially episode 2, really dives into that idea with basically they go to like a shipyard that's supposed to be obviously the new the New Republic has the shipyard, but that is where the droids that came and stole the map that's supposed to lead them to Thrawn came from, on Corellia. So they go to Corellia, and they're like, all right, well, that's kind of weird because like that's actually like our shipyard that we have there, so that doesn't really make sense. And they basically find out that like, yeah, there's definitely some people that are working there, and probably not even the whole place, but there's some people that are working there that are definitely taking paychecks from, you know, the old empire that has fallen and working sort of for both. And some, it seems to be like it's an allegiance, some it might just be money, but we kind of touch on the fact that it's like, it's complicated. And the reality is, yeah, I mean, why do you feel like you have to have an allegiance to one or the other? Like, what would that give you as a person? Because you have to think, these are just people. And I just like when we sort of examine some of these more, I guess, everyday issues in Star Wars, because it makes the world feel more grounded in a sense of reality. And I really admire that they're doing that. I will say in this, there are some issues that I have already with episode 1 and episode 2. We do have some choices that are being made that are like questionable, and some things that are revealed that I was like, but why is that like that? So first of all, when we get the map, that whole temple reminded me of Fifth Element, which, I mean, they're both sci-fi, and I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but I was literally like, what is happening? Is this Fifth Element? And then, no, it was a stone, but it wasn't really a stone. She crushes it, and then the map's in there, and it's in a ball, and also the idea of starting it off by searching for a map, I don't know, it just feels very much like, how many Star Wars stories are we looking for maps? I feel like that happens a lot. But at the same time, you know, you need maps to guide you places, so. And this map admittedly is pretty cool, because it almost seems like they're on a bit of like a scavenger hunt with this map, is more what it takes you on. So that's really interesting. But that whole temple scene, it's just a lot Fifth Element. The other weird thing is, so they get the map and then get off the planet, and then in episode 1, and AHSOKA gives it to Huyang, who's actually voiced by David Tennant in this, and I thought I recognized his voice a little bit, and then we saw David Tennant in the credits, and I was like, oh, that must be who he was, and that is who he is. And now that I've told you that, you probably won't be able to not hear David Tennant. This is very, very clear, his voice. But I really love the droids as well, but we'll get into that in a second. So the thing with Huyang is he has the map, and then he tries to open it, and he's supposed to be like this old Jedi droid, but he can't crack it. And so they decide to go to AHSOKA's old Padawan, Sabine Wren, because they're like, Sabine could probably figure it out. Now, why AHSOKA, who is like has way more experience, wouldn't be able to do it, and why literally a Jedi programmed droid wouldn't be able to do it, I don't know. But they can't? But then later, it almost feels like it's implied that maybe Huyang could have opened it, but just decided to pretend that they couldn't, so that Sabine would get pulled into this adventure. Because it also seems like they hardcore ship the idea of Sabine and AHSOKA working together again, which I do too. I really like the fact that they're both so similar, and in that is where the tension lies between them. That it just feels like a very real and organic relationship, and I also think they just have great on-screen chemistry as well. So seeing them in scenes together, playing off each other, I think is really fun. So I'm with Huyang on this, but it's weird that to me that they weren't able to crack it if that's what it is, unless it was a choice. And there's a few things, like also we are introduced to these villainous characters, but they also, I can't get a read on them. And I kind of love that, but I'm also like, what's going on? And I'm wondering what we'll learn as we go on. I believe the one Jedi was named Balon Skull? Which just sounds like an evil name, let's be real. But he seems to be after power, but at the same time, generally seems to be vibing with the idea of the fact that he used to be a Jedi, and he almost like really respects Jedi, but he also just wants power. And I'm like, how do both of those things coexist? And like, what does that mean for this character? And like, what do you really want, Balon? Because I don't believe you. I feel like there might be more going on there, and I'm hoping that I'm right in that, because otherwise this is a weird decision. But if it is that there's a lot more depth in a lot of these choices, and there's like subtext in a lot of the moments, the stuff that I'm picking up on, if I'm correct about some of that subtext, then this show could be like really amazing and give us like some really cool stories and some really cool and deep characters, which, to be honest, I love Star Wars, but I feel like that is a thing that can sometimes be challenging, because sometimes there are characters that are very surface level, and then sometimes we get characters that are super deep. So you kind of never know what you're going to get, and that is the the joy of it, to be honest. There's also a lot of really amazing droids in this, so I wasn't familiar. Hu Young's really cool, or Hu Yang. I'm sorry if I said it wrong. It's my first time meeting this character. Please be kind to me. But I really liked him. And I also really liked Chop, who apparently their full name is Chopper. And I think this is a droid that was also in Rebels, but I'm not so sure. But I immediately was in love. So I just feel like there's so many cool droids that we're probably going to get to meet through this. And I'm really excited for that journey because I love droids. Droids make me so happy. I actually just started reading, this is something that I want to talk about in a bit, but this awesome series, well, not series, it's a series, it's an event called Star Wars Dark Droids. It's happening in the comics right now with Star Wars, and yeah, guys, I love droids. So that was a nice little treat. But overall, I would say I'm really intrigued by this series. I have so many questions and so many things that I'm pondering, and I feel like that is definitely a good start. I like when I watch a show and it makes me think, and this is definitely doing that. So A+ all around for that. Also, everyone looks great. The makeup looks good. Sabine has this little space cat. Oh, what's a space cat called? I should know this. When we went to Galaxy's Edge, there was like a whole bunch of animals that you got to see that were from like Star Wars, and this was one of the animals, and I'm familiar with it. Everyone's calling it a cat, but it's not a cat. It is called, yeah, well, it is a cat. There you go. It's a loth cat, or a loth cat. I think we say a loth cat. But yeah, the cat is amazing, and the fact that I'm pretty sure that is puppet slash like just a robotic cat that someone's controlling, which I guess is just a robotic form of a puppet, is really awesome. And I just really appreciate the detail they went for keeping these effects like real, like just FX and you know, practical effects. It's very exciting for me watching that. Also, we have this mysterious character, Mortok, and I'm very interested to know who that is. And we also have the Night Sisters in this, who are the Witches of Dathomir, and they are so cool. I haven't read a lot of stuff in depth about them, but just from what I know about them, from what I have seen and kind of explored into a little bit, so interesting. But the other weird thing is the lady that Ahsoka fought against in Mandalorian is also in this, and she has revealed herself to be a Night Sister, I think. Well, she definitely is implied to be a witch of Dathomir, but she doesn't look like a witch of Dathomir. And that is to say that they kind of have like a very specific look. So I don't know what's going on with that, or if maybe there's more to the Night Sisters than we know, and maybe she's from like a different sect, or maybe it's an illusion and she does look like that. I don't know, but I'm very curious to see what will happen with that. Morgan, that's her name, the woman that Ahsoka fought in Mandalorian and who's in this, Morgan Elsbeth. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see where that goes. I'm very curious, and yeah, give me all these space squids. Let's do it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Sorry that I'm a person that has not seen Star Wars Rebels, but I still thought it would be really, I'm still really psyched about this series, and I thought it'd be really important for me to still chat with you, because ultimately, I'm sure there's a lot of people that have not seen Rebels that are going to want to watch this. So I think our perspectives are still pretty relevant. If you have seen Rebels, let me know if there are cool things that you're seeing. There's probably a bunch that I'm missing, so I'd love to hear what your experience is like as well. Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one, friends. Stay nerdy. Bye.